Hello, 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 and welcome to the Hildebrand Law Firm topic for today. I'm Matt Kaplan.
I'm Jaden Johnson.
And we are joined here by Jaden. Jaden is our resident young person here in the office. He recently graduated from college with 3 majors.
That's correct.
Was one of them Latin?
One of them was Latin, technically classics, but
Classics.
background.
He's a classic man, ladies and gentlemen. So the reason that Jaden's here today is because, as he knows and as most of you know, a lot of these old legal terms that you see in documents like hitherto and wherefore and all these whatever these legal terms mean, a lot of them have Latin backgrounds. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to bring Jaden into this video and to discuss some of these legal terms, see if he's heard of them, and if he hasn't heard of them, see if he can use his classics background and his classics degree to try to figure out what the heck these terms actually mean. So,
Put it into the test.
Are you ready?
As I can be.
Okay, and if I mispronounce these words, it's not my fault. They're not in English.
I will correct you.
Please do. Okay, the first word that ChatGPT gave me is inchoate. 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 Inchoate.
That's a tough one. I don't think I've actually ever heard that. So we're
Do you
off
want me
to
to
a
use
great
it?
start.
Do you want me to use it in a sentence?
If you can attempt to.
Okay. Language of origin, Latin. I will use it in a sentence. According to their definition, in the first trimester, the baby is inchoate with regards to the gestation process.
It really doesn't help me either.
Referring to something in an initial or early stage of development. I've heard it been used for like crimes, inchoate crimes or something like that. Maybe it's inchoate. Am I pronouncing it wrong, do you think?
It's tough because like K's and C's and Q's pronunciation in Latin isn't always there, so I'm not certain even the right way to actually say it. So
Okay. Obiter dictum.
Can you spell it out?
OBITER space DICTUM. Obiter dictum.
Dictum is usually speech or speaking. Dictate, that's where the word comes from.
Okay.
Obiter, I do not.
Obiter.
Can you use it in a sentence again?
Yes. I drank an IPA and it was bitter. Sorry. Yes. Let's
Hilarious.
See. Okay. At the trial, when the judge was reading their opinion, as part of the judge's opinion, there was some obiter dictum that was not binding on the actual opinion.
I would assume in that general context it would be off the record speaking, off the cuff, and not sworn to statements.
Yeah, something like that. A judge's incidental expression of an opinion not essential to the decision and therefore not legally binding as precedent. So, okay.
I think I get 50%.
I think you did a good job. These next 2 words I've literally never heard of. I've heard of this one though. Replevin.
I understand the context of the legal definition of replevin. I don't know the Latin definition of it.
Well, what's the legal context of replevin?
In a case of trying to re-ascertain or relinquish money from an individual.
Good. So. The recovery of goods unlawfully taken by an action for their value. So someone takes your stuff, it's essentially take-backsies is replevin.
I would imagine, again, because Latin translates into English and there's some words that are based off it, replenish is probably of some relation to the Latin term of replevin. So that's where you can kind of build the context from that one.
Okay. One that is more so necessary now. Certiorari.
A tough word to pronounce.
Certiorari.
I'll say I've heard it different ways. In a court, you would usually pronounce it certiorari. Certiorari is another way of you can pronounce it. Typically, it involves a writ of certiorari. It's a writ of certainty by the judge. Matt could probably explain in a lot better context as a lawyer what a writ and is actually for, but it's a mandate from the court. Certiorari is, like I said, a typically certification, though I'm trying to think of an example or a context of which it's used, and none are coming to mind.
Well, the most amount of time this is used is someone will file a writ of certiorari when they want the Supreme Court to view one of their cases.
Mm.
So that's in the legal field. That's what it's mostly used for. But interesting. Let's see if you can get this one. Qui tam, QUI space TAM. Qui tam.
Qui, quai, quod is a Latin term for it's basically or who, what, when, where, why, how. It's usually used in those contexts.
Wait, it means all of those things?
It can mean all of those things.
It's very
depending,
confusing.
I'll say depending on the ending of it.
So if you were to translate who, what, when, why, and how into Latin, it would be qui 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 qui.
It would be different endings to the words, but also mostly it can be used for this or that.
Okay.
Term quid pro quo is this for that.
Excellent.
So again, Latin is a little bit more complicated where it's unlike English where adding S's and D's and I's and E's and things to the end of nouns and verbs can change meanings entirely.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as tam, I'm not certain. So that
tam. Qui tam. A legal action brought by a private individual under the False Claims Act. You don't know about the False Claims Act?
I do not know about the False Claims Act.
That makes two of us.
And neither am I gathering what tam is from that particular definition.
Ooh, this is one that you might know. Pro hoc vice.
To this point, or typically it's the appearance style. Pro hoc vice is through this matter individually, appearing exclusively for a certain subject. So,
mm-hmm. Like a cameo.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That they're not the full representation of this matter, but that they're appearing for a certain subject.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to try to pronounce this word correctly. However, it looks kind of funny. Pini forte et dure. Peine forte, like a Kia Forte. Et dure, dure. Is it pronounced Pini?
Penne?
Like penne alla vodka?
Assuming so. P-E-N-E, you said?
Peine.
P-I-N-E is technically.
Peine.
So something close to like P-N-E relative, but
okay.
Forte is usually force and
Et
is end. Dure is force and direction.
Okay. So what this means is a legal punishment.
Penalty. I would say penne is probably most likely penalty. And that's where the origin is from. So penalty
in which a defendant who refuses to plead is subjected to progressively more severe torture until he or she either submits a plea or dies.
It would make sense. Again.
Well, I wonder why they don't do that anymore.
The beauty of Latin translation is because you have, like I said, those endings and things to words, it creates such a wide variety of translation in the English language. That makes it harder to translate Latin perfectly to an understanding of what they meant back then.
Okay.
But as far as the term, it makes sense where those words combine together to, again, penalty of force and direction. In that instance, it makes sense where it's an exponential increase in the penalty in order to force a person. And again, so it's a very wide translation, but it does make sense in that one. So
excellent. The last one that we're going to do is one that I'm pretty sure you know. Amicus curiae. Amicus curiae. C-U-R-I-A-E. Amicus curiae.
So amicus is usually in Latin friend. Friend of the amicus is usually a friend of the court, sometimes referenced, and then curiae is cure. It's usually where the word comes from. I'm trying to think of the context of when it's used in the legal field, but it is actually escaping me right now. And
sure.
I know I've come across it.
Yeah, so in amicus curiae, it's typically a brief that someone will file with a court that says, I'm not involved, but here's my opinion based on that.
And again, makes sense given friend, cure, that's the common use and translation of it. But again,
it's a total unsolicited. I mean, it's kind of like a big main character energy thing. Someone's like, I'm not involved in this case, but judges, here's my thoughts. Take this under advisement. So yeah, amicus curiae, and so yeah, that is the last one that I want to do. All these other ones I've never heard of, but I think Jaden, for the most part, I think you did great. It's glad to see someone actually putting an undergrad degree to use. Maybe in one of these videos I'll talk about music, put my degree to use.
I'll say a very limited use of it, and ironically, it's not much more use sometimes than my other two majors either. But definitely nice to use it from time to time, and it helps people to get the understanding of when I say I do Latin, it's not that people speak Latin, it's not that people write in Latin necessarily too much anymore, but that there's still applications to it, and it helps to understand. It helps me every day to gain some understanding of what are the matters that are going on, and that helps me, especially as Matt referenced. I am a young individual trying to learn in the field too.
He's
So
young, in case you guys know.
I am young. Yes.
So here's what we're gonna do. Okay, I want you in the comments to leave how old you think Jaden is. Okay, any answer over the age of 25 will be incorrect. Right. So leave that in the comments. Also leave in the comments if you know of any legal terms or if you know of any Latin terms that you want Jaden to try to guess on. Leave those in the comments. Make sure you leave a like on this video and subscribe. And Jaden, will you come back at some other point?
I will if you can find more Latin terms that I can apply my major to.
I can't, but ChatGPT knows all of them. So Jaden will definitely be back. But until then, thank you so much for joining us. And we're always here to protect your today and your tomorrow. Thank you.